And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the Broodor OST, as we do get ready here for the remainder of tonight's broadcast for the second half of the GSL Round of 8 Group B. We just casted our first wave of matches, and now we're here to determine who makes it out first in Group B. Will it be Dark or Classic? They both excelled in their own ways. Dark, of course, looking strong against Terran in the ZvP, both in the early game and towards the mid to late game. Meanwhile, Classic was able to show off his prowess of the chaotic nature of PvP. If you missed out earlier, I highly recommend checking it out. We casted Classic versus Creator, and there was a cannon rush. we rarely get to see cannon rushes at this level. It was crazy, it was chaotic, it was beautiful. It's everything that you want in a PvP, but now we're here in something very different, in a ZvP instead, and game 1 is going to be on Site Delta. Let's go. Let us go. Again, as a reminder, the loser of this series won't be knocked out of the group. They'll be knocked down to the decider match. So they will still have a second chance, a second life, a second way out of this group. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Dragon Kai Z Gaming, the blue Zerg. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Here we go. And it's been a hot minute since we've casted these two clash. I want to say maybe 3 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks ago we casted Dark versus Classic in KSL. And it's been a while since then. Again, things have been very chaotic between the two of them. Classic is a very aggressive player. Last time we saw him, Classic was very fond of going into Tempest Rushes, or at least mixing it into a series, so I would not be surprised if that does occur at some point in this best of 3. Likewise, he has been going for some Glaive Adept variations as well, very similar to Hero, as Hero has also been having a great time exploring different ways to go into Glaive Adepts with different gateway timings, in general different variations and kind of transitions from a third base. Hero has been looking terrifying, and it feels like Classic has been following suit, but we'll see. We'll see what he brings to the table. There's a lot available here in PvZ. Even when it comes to the openers, we could see a Stargate opener or a Twilight Council, and both of those can kind of go different, down very different branching pathways on how they want to play this out. But now, Gate Expand into the Cyber Core. Standard opener here from Classic. Likewise, a Hatch Gas pull from Dark. He was able to take his natural, bear that in mind. So he will be, if he is up against a Twilight Council opener, Dark will have a much stronger defense back at home. He's gonna have a much easier time holding. Here we go. Second pylon is thrown down. This feels like a Stargate pylon just because it's a little bit further out, but we'll see kind of what tech gets thrown down and where it gets thrown down as well. Overlord is going to be heading towards that natural, just confirming the timing of the Nexus before getting back towards that Overlord pillar. And there it is, Stargate is on the way. Usually if you throw down the Twilight Council, you throw down the pylon a little bit further back to try to keep it hidden, to make it that much more difficult and take it longer to scout. Because it's a little bit further forward, well, the pylon I should say, did of course read to be a Stargate, just so that the Oracle gets across the map that much faster. Even if you cut 2-3 seconds, like every second does count in StarCraft. So we do have our openers of choice. Dark back at home getting into his third, droning up, saturating his bases, should be building up his queen count back at home as well. Very standard setup here from both players. And I guess the first deviation is going to come out from this Stargate. Do we go Oracle first? Phoenix, Void Ray. Void Ray openers have been quite popular as of late. Overlord is going to take a lot of hits. And there it is. It's the Fleet Beacon. Like, I know that I started this game off talking about how, like, Classic recently has been really liking, like, Skytoss and Fleet Beacon rushes. And I was expecting it at some point in the series. I wasn't expecting it game 1. I was not expecting this. But yeah, coming back to that, Classic has been very fond of this. So this shouldn't be a commitment into Skytoss. What do I mean by that? This should be a Tempest Rush, and we build up towards 4 Tempests, and then from here you go for a ground transition. So you hard switch into Blink Stalkers into a ground-based army, and the goal is to try to kind of lure and bait your opponent, bait the Zerg player into investing too much into anti-air, into hard committing and overreacting and going into too many Corruptors, and then you catch them off guard with Blink Stalkers. That's why we only have 1 Stargate. Now we have a second on the way, which makes sense. But again, I don't see us building up more than 4 Tempests. We'll see. We'll see if we actually commit to Skytoss or if we do go into a ground-based army. Again, like what I'm saying, I'm just basing off of what we've seen from Classic these past couple of weeks. We'll see if that continues to be the trend. Meanwhile, Dark is cutting workers. I know I'm focusing a lot on what Classic is up to, but back at home, Dark, he's building up towards 8 Roaches. We're cutting workers at 40. Roaches are soon going to be waddling across the map. Lings fanning out, trying to get a read of what's going on. A third base is late. Dark should recognize that. We do have tectonic destabilizers on the way. That is, of course, the Tempest upgrade to help do additional damage to buildings. We'll see how far we can go with this. As we have 1 Tempest so far, we're getting up towards 3 Tempest. Meanwhile, back at home, Dark is going to be squeezing out a couple of workers. Did make a big wave of Roaches, and it looks like they were just for safety. It looks like he was reading... I don't blame him. Because there's no third, he's reading this as a Twilight Council opener, and we're building up towards like a 2-base all-in. So he builds up some Roaches just to be safe against Glaive Adepts or Dark Templar, but there is none. So these Roaches were a bit of a waste. The resources invested into something that we do not need. And now it looks like Dark realizes, hold up, you're still not attacking, you're still not doing anything. I guess I am safe to drone. I can saturate my third base at least a little bit. Additional Queens are on the way. Lair is on the way, which is very important to gain access to a Spire. And here come additional gateways. There it is. There's that gateway explosion. 4 more gates. It's going to be 6 gates in total. And there's the Twilight Council. Should be for Blink. Oh, that's going to be even more gates. We're getting up towards 7, soon to be maybe even 8 gateways. Here come those 4 Tempests. Now, I assumed that we would only be making 4 Tempests, but this is different. We are building up towards 6. We have a 5th and 6th Tempest on the way, so we're investing even harder to this. Here we go. Spore Crawler is going to go down. Tempests have been revealed. Because we did make an extra wave of Tempest, I wonder if this could even be Charge instead of Blink. I'm curious what kind of direction we go in. As for now, the Drop-A-Lot Micro, let's go! I love this from Dark. He does this whenever he goes up against Proxy Tempest. He has the Overlord to basically try to dodge shots. Oh. So far, the Queens are standing strong. Oh. Queen does go down in the end, and we are going for that Overlord. Another Queen falls as well. This is getting a bit out of hand. Meanwhile, there are those Blink Stalkers on the way. And here come those Corruptors. Again, this basically Darky's playing into Classic's hands right now. I mean, we do need Corruptors to defend, but every single Queen's going to be going down. We bust in towards the third base. And this hatchery is going to fall. These Tempests do so much damage here with that upgrade. Behind this Classic getting into his own third, a very late third, but on time here. It's perfectly fine because he's just doing so much economic damage. He's going to get another hatchery. Another base is going to go down. We can even lay siege upon the Spire, and yeah, we go right for it. Spire's going to fall. We recall back here, and we miss some of the units, unfortunately. 1 Tempest falls. Additional Corruptors are on the way. We should shut down these Tempests. But back at home, we're building up a massive Blink Stalker army. Again, it's not about Skytoss. Not anymore. We're done with building Skytoss units. It's all about the ground toss. And Dark, his economy is just in shambles. He's on 1 base economy, essentially. Long distance mining from every other hatchery. Corruptors are on the way. Additional Roaches and Ravagers. And Classic, he's going for a big 3-base push. We have a proxy gateway. How many gateways do we have in total? 7. So 7 back at home. 8 gateways across the map. We may have a third base, but we're not saturating. We cancel it. We're going for a big 2-base all-in. We don't care about the third. We're doubling down here on pure Blink Stalker. Classic, he knows that Dark is battered and bruised. He knows that Dark is limping along, and he's looking to put him down. Vile's going to be connecting. They do actually land on some of these Stalkers. Corruptors should deal with some of these Tempests, but there's just not enough on the ground. GG gets called, and Classic will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there at a Classic. Again, this build that Classic just whipped out is very trendy. Very trendy at the moment. It isn't just Classic that's been doing this. Hero has as well. Hero, Nightmare, Estrella. It's kind of been coursing through the Protoss players, especially amongst the Korean Protoss players as well. They've been embracing this. What I will say is that this is a much more aggressive variation from Classic. Usually, I mentioned before, usually I see Protoss players go up to only 4 Tempests and go for a faster third. Here, the third was a fake. It was just a 2-base all-in follow-up, so Classic just doubled down on the aggression, snowballed out of control, and took game number 1. And now we're getting into game number 2. We'll see if Dark can fight back. We'll see if he can tie up the series. Now, what's important is that this build from Classic, this is something that you do once. Remember, a big reason as to why this worked, Dark, he read it as a Twilight Council opener. That's why at the start of the game, Dark made so many roaches, because he assumed it was going to be a 2-base all-in with Glaive Adepts or DTs or Immortals. Dark didn't know what was happening, so he was caught off guard, and that's something that you can only do once in a series. But here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the South Korean Zurich player representing Dragon Kai-Z Gaming. Down in this series, looking to fight back, it is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss representing Twisted Minds. Up in the series, it is Classic. Remember, it's a best of 3, not a best of 5. Classic needs one more win here. One win to advance out first in this group. And again, I love the flair here from Classic as well. Like, again, I think that's the first time that I've seen a lot of like Tempests into Blink Stalkers over the past month of play. But I think this is the first time that I've seen a Protoss player just double down and just go for a 2-base all-in afterwards. just throw caution to the wind and just clean it up then and there. Very risky is what I will say. It's very risky, but the Tempest did do a lot, right? They killed 2 hatcheries. They killed the third and the natural, so you could get away with that. You could end it then and there. Meanwhile, Dark going for his own shenanigans here, going for his own hatch block. Let's go. Now, this isn't aggression from Dark. Dark, he went hatch, into gas back at home. So there's no early spawning pool, and Classic, he's confirming this. He comes in for a scout, he confirms that the spawning pool is late. So this is a hatch block from Dark. This is designed to delay the expansion and to disrupt the economy of Classic, while Dark gets into his own opener. This has also been very trendy for the past maybe month and a half, 2 months from Dark. Dark has been very fond of hatch blocks, also of actual proxy hatches as well, where he goes 12 pool proxy hatch. So Dark has been just very aggressive here in this matchup, and we see that here. And again, just designed to delay the expansion. We should cancel. We shouldn't let this finish. There we go. There's a cancel. Now, the scary thing here is that Dark did force out a Zealot. He forced out a Zealot. He's forcing out an abundance of units early on, and they're going to be moving out. It's going to be on Dark to defend with the bare minimum, because Dark, he cut corners, he has Queens now on the way. Ideally, he wants to delay Ling production and drone up heavily, because his hatchery was delayed, right? His first hatchery was across the map, as he's taking a fast third. So Dark has to be very careful here how he approaches this, as Classic is going for a Twilight Council opener. He wants to try to punish Dark. With this, we can go into Glaive Adepts or even Dark Templar. So a much more aggressive follow-up here from Classic. Zealot has arrived, Adept as well. Second Adept is on the way. Remember, Dark, he has slow Lings and a handful of Queens. Has 4 Lings here at the natural. We are going to be confirming the third base being taken. Classic does have eyes on this. Of course, 2 Adepts do one-shot drones. Lings as well. We are going to be threatening Shades. And merely the presence of these Adepts is forcing out Lings. lings that should have otherwise been drones. So even though we're not killing workers, in a way we are. We're forcing larvae not to be made into workers, but into lings instead. So some good inadvertent damage. Behind this, it is going to be Glaives. We are not pulling out of gas. Oh, we're kind of pulling out of gas. It's a little bit disjointed. Ling speed is about to kick in, and these adepts, they got to get the hell out of here. They need to get out, they need to survive. It's going to be 4 gates in total. We have pulled out of gas, so this isn't going to be a big commitment into 6 gates or into Dark Templar. It's just 4 gate Glaive Adepts, which means this should eventually transition into a 3rd base. This is not all in. It's a way to get economic damage done. It's a way to catch a Zerg player off guard, not a way to kill them. At this level, it shouldn't be a way to kill them. Here we go, the Overlord is being pushed away. Adepts will soon be banking up the Overlord. What did we see? We did see the Twilight Council and the Robo, so Dark is aware of what's going on. We have a safety Roach Warren on the way, thrown down at around the 4-minute mark. So Dark, as he loses that Overlord, he does get supply blocked for a moment, but he should be cutting workers here at 42 and making Lings and Roaches to defend. As the Adepts are making their way across the map. Moving towards that 3rd. Queens are going to be rotating over. Again, good Overlord positions. Just to keep an eye on the movement here of Classic. We do spot the Warp Prism. We spot the Warp In. Queens are rotating. 11 Roaches are in production. We don't want to throw away these Lings. The Lings, they need to chase those Shades. As the Adepts will be threatening that 3rd base. No, they're committed to the natural. So far, Dark, he does react well. He does pull back. Doesn't lose any drones. Soaking shots with those Queens. He goes straight for the main base. The Prism does dive in, but there is an army waiting. Classic, he cannot commit. Catches a couple of transferring workers. Not too bad. We even catch a couple of Roaches as well. 5 drones going down is a good start, especially if we keep these Adepts alive. We get a 2nd Roach Warren. Classic trying to warp into the main base. This hatchery taking a lot of hits. Up. The hatchery getting very low. Meanwhile, the Prism does get zoned away. We commit to the Shade into the natural. No drones are in position. No economic damage is done. But we do trade well against the Lings. The Prism. Oh my god. Yeah, be careful about it. Be careful. Look at the unit loss tab here. Classic has only lost 5 Adepts here. 5 Adepts for 6 drones. Lings, a couple of Roaches. Good trades overall. And what's important is that Classic keeps these Adepts alive, because he needs them to protect his 3rd. Remember what we said earlier, like, this was not an all-in. This is a build designed to get economic damage done and settle you into the mid-game and allow you to expand and take a 3rd base. So the 3rd base is now up and running. Adepts, there are enough of them to keep this safe from any kind of Ling counterattack, and Dark is going to be stuck at home droning. Now, what's important is that Dark didn't lose too many workers to fall too far behind. He lost 6 drones, and again, Lings and Roaches, but this could have been game-ending damage. This could have gotten an entire mineral line even and end of the game. So Dark is able to keep up, he's able to hold on, and able to maintain his worker lead. Now, what is scary is that these Adepts are still threatening these mineral lines. They get 2 drones, and they get picked up immediately. Oh, did I say 2 workers? Oh no. 7 drones go down here at the natural. The Adepts, they shade in. They catch Dark completely off guard. And this is becoming too much. And here we go. Classic building up towards his follow-up attack. Adepts with Immortals as well. A couple of sentries to help support. And this is terrifying. Classic up in supply. Now, to be fair, these Adepts, they aren't the biggest of threats. They don't trade amazingly against Roaches. It's the Immortals, right? The goal here is that the Adepts, they protect the Immortals, and the Immortals, they're the ones that deal the real damage. Here we go. We do threaten a big shade towards that natural. Classic again, being so aggressive, so assertive with this. Ooh, Files do connect. And we have the better CranKy. Files once again taking down some of those sentries. Oh my god. The Prism goes down. Prism does go down to the Queens. No more reinforcements. What you see is what you get. Dark hiding back here towards the safety of his natural base. buying time. 7 more roaches in production, and the adept army is being thinned out. We are running out of adepts, and once we do, these immortals are going to be so exposed. Oh, the overlords. Boys are being pulled. We're trying to set up a surround, but more adepts rock up. And here we go, Lings. They come in from behind. They get on top of the immortals, and there is no juggling. There is no warp prism. The immortals are falling. Again, imagine if there was a warp prism with this. If the warp prism lived, if it survived, Classic may just have won the game. Just straight up. If we had that warp prism to reinforce, to help Micro and keep those immortals alive, but Dark, he holds. He cleans up the army, and he is still in a pretty difficult position. He's on 48 workers, down in the economy, and he's doubling down. Dark, he's going all in. Dark, he's going for his counter all in. 12 Lings on the way, Ravagers, no more droning, no more economy. We're going for a big counterattack. It's all or nothing for Dark. There are no immortals. 0 immortals here in position. 1 immortal just came out, but it's going to be too late. No shield battery, no overcharge. Classic, he was not ready for a counterattack. Not like this. Files are going to be connecting. 1 immortal comes out. Good juggling, we do keep it alive. But there's only so much 1 immortal can do. We have the overcharge, but the shield battery is going to go down. Ay, ay, ay. And Classic, he did so well for himself at the start of this game. Files, they rain down on the mineral line. We come in with some more Ling reinforcements. The boys are being pulled. That 1 immortal doing what it can. But it's still only 1 immortal. As we take down 14 probes, the rest of the army. We try to go for some warp-ins. Oof, but the piles will connect. And with that, this third base has been broken. At the same time, a Ling run by, a Roach run by into the natural. The wall is not a wall. And it looks like Classic has been broken. He's only got a handful of units left, a handful of adepts remaining. He still has that 1 immortal, doing what it can. But the boys are being pulled for a second time. Third base is going to go down. That is over 30 dead workers. Again, Dark, he barely held on. He knew his position. He knew that he was too far behind. So the counter all-in was the play. And he does waddle in towards that natural. Cybercore is going to go down, which means no more adepts. That's all that Classic has to work with. Just adepts. He has Blink, so he can try to morph in some Stalkers. And he is forcing this back. He is trying to force it back here. Otherwise, oh my god. Dark has to respect the warp-ins, has to retreat. By the way, there is no charge. We can only warp in Zealots because of the dead Cybercore. That's all we have to work with. And that 1 immortal. The hero immortal. It's got a lot of work to do. Got a lot to be done. And GG is going to be called here. Dark snowballs out of control and will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. We are going to the ace match. Again, Classic doing very well here, even in game number 2, getting so much damage done with his adepts. Not with his initial adepts, but remember, 2 adepts, they snuck into the natural base, they crippled the economy. The follow-up push as well was devastating. Bringing it back, again, imagine if Classic had been able to keep that Warp Prism alive, we would have seen a very different game. And honestly, Classic probably would have been able to break Dark then and there if he just had an extra wave of reinforcements, and again, just the added ability to micro and juggle his units. I mean, we saw the immortal control at the end of the game, right? Imagine if he had that with the main army. With those 3 immortals and that Warp Prism, Classic would have 100% broken through. But that's why we have to give a shout out to Dark for having the wherewithal to snipe that Warp Prism ahead of time at the start of the fight with his queens. He lost all of his queens in the process, but he got the Prism, and that was huge. That was just a pivotal moment in that fight, in that game. And with that, we're going to the ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Here we go. As we get into it, a big shout out to Sinistro, papi. Fala galera, papi. Fala galera. Bienvenidos. Big shout out to Sinistro, one of the big people behind StarCraft, behind ESL and tournaments themselves. So much love, City Show, much love. Love what you do, and best of luck as well. I know things are gonna get busy, things are gonna get really intense with DreamHack Atlanta around the corner. So best of luck, City Show. As we get into game number 3 and spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkione, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Z Gaming, tying up the series 1-1. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the Red Protoss, representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. How's it going? Some of these games are really good. Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear. I mean, so far they've been amazing. It's all of them. They've been great. Again, I did avoid watching these live, just because I knew that I was going to cast them. So yeah, be careful with what is said in the chats. Just experiencing it here for the first time, hopefully with some people as well. And yeah, it's been really good matches so far. We're getting into the ace match here to determine who makes it out of this group first. And as a reminder, no one gets eliminated yet. The loser of this series goes down to the decider match, where we still have to determine who faces off against them, either Bunny or Creator. Katowice qualifiers, Atlanta end of year is quite agitated around it. Yeah, definitely. I did see on the calendar that the IM qualifiers are around the corner. They're in a couple of weeks, which is wild. And obviously we're gonna be covering the qualifiers here on the CranKy Ducklings, as we always do. Quack. We'll be there. As always. We'll try to cover as much as we can. For now, though, we do have some standard openers. It's going to be a gate expand into the cyber core, so a standard opener out of Classic. I should also mention as well, this time Dark doesn't go for the proxy hatch. Remember, last game he went for a hatch block. This time, none whatsoever. The rush distance by ground is a little bit longer, so it takes longer for the drone to get across the map. Not really worth it here in the end. Dark instead going for the unnatural natural as we load into Alkione, a map that is considered to be a more macro-oriented map. We saw it earlier between Dark and Bunny, how it can be very difficult to be aggressive yourself and be assertive and push up towards the 3rd or even 4th base just because of the defender's advantage. Like the ramp, the potential concave, and like flanking here on the left-hand side as well. It's just so awkward to engage, regardless of race. Likewise here towards the left-hand side as well, the choke point can be brutal. So I'm curious how aggressive we want to be. This would not be a bad map to go into Tempest again. I'll be honest, like this would not be a bad Tempest map, as we saw in game 1 from Classic, but we'll see, especially with the Overlord coming in and confirming the Stargate opener. I'm loving the Phoenix First. Phoenix First is going to be shutting down the Overlord, is going to be keeping Dark in the dark, making sure he doesn't know what comes next. Now, I do think that Phoenix First into Fleet Beacon is a little bit too obvious, so I wouldn't be opposed to transitioning into, or taking, into a different direction. We'll see, whether it's, Sky Toss or Fleet Beacon, whether it's something like an earlier Twilight Council, or even a 3rd base into a Twilight Council into delayed Glaive Adepts as the Overlord comes back in. Phoenix still looking for Overlord, still looking for damage. We do get confirmation, or at least Dark does, that there's an Oracle coming out next. So he knows to be ready for it. He also sees the lack of Fleet Beacon, lack of second Stargate, for now at least. Phoenix does move out. Second Oracle's on the way, so we should be expanding and taking a 3rd. There it is. 3rd is being taken as we speak. Dark is preparing back at home. We have 3 queens here at the 3rd. We have 2 queens here in the main. Spores are in production. Dark just getting ready here for those oracles. He's just getting things ready. We do try to catch some of these transferring workers, and we get one. One drone does go down. Not bad for mainly shields. Nothing amazing, but we're going to be able to regenerate those shields and dip back in once again. Meanwhile, across the map, we do have our transition. It's going to be a Forge and a Twilight Council. Both tech structures are in the natural because of the Overlord in the main. Now that it gets knocked down, we can commit here to our ground toss. Now, Forge and Twilight Council should be +1 and Blink. There are, of course, charge builds and charge variations, but before we can talk about that, we do get into the natural base once again. Oh, 3, 4 more workers go down. Very crisp control there out of Classic, being very careful with how he does maneuver, but out the flank! Oh my god. We almost do catch another one of those oracles, but Classic does escape with everything, and that is Overlord speed. Interesting. Curious. So, I mean, in a ZvP matchup, part of me wants to believe, especially with the lair finishing up, this could be an all-in. We could be sending Ro8s and Queens across the map with Dropper Lords, but considering what's been happening this series and considering the tech switches that Classic has been going for, it makes sense here for Dark to just invest into Overlord speed just for... Never mind. I was coping, but I was like, you know what? Maybe he just wants to scout. Maybe he just wants to morph in an Overseer and get across the map and figure out what's going... Nah, it's Dark. It's Dark, Poppy. We're doubling down here. Here come the Dropper Lords. Here come the Queens. We're going for one big all-in. The German taxi is upon us, so whatever kind of transport you want to mention. As we're moving across the map, what do we have to work with? Roaches, Lings on the way, Ravagers are being morphed in, and so far, unscattered. So far, Classic doesn't. He's teching! We have a Robo, a second Robo, and a Robotics Bay on the way. Tech that is not going to come into play here, not in this game. As Dark is pushing towards that third, and now he realizes what's going on. We have a cannon, 2 cannons in production here for Classic. He needs time. Needs time to set up all this stack defense. Blink is still not done. +1 is still not done either. We don't have our upgrades. The Oracle's doing what they can. They do catch one of the Ravagers. Oh, they engage the Queens. Oracles are going to be going down. We dive on the main army. Force fields will be knocked down. They're buying time, though. Buying time for the cannons. And we have the overcharge. Wiles will connect. They take down the shield battery. Take down the cannon as well. Overcharge is popped. And the Ravagers have to back off. We have to respect that shield battery. Gonna be picking up those Queens, rotating on over towards that natural. Disruptors are on the way. If they come out, that could be it. That could be all the Classic needs. As we do dive on the army. Queens are being dropped. Sentry's going down. The Artosis pylon! No shot! The Robo gets depowered. The Disruptor will not come out. Not like this. Biles connect. Overcharges run out. The shield batteries are also out of energy, and it looks like we are breaking this third base. Here comes the Disruptor from behind. Nova goes off. Ooh, takes down one Ravager, but that's not going to be enough. We have Lings trickling on in. But Blink did finish, but we take the Biles to the face. Not like this. The Ravagers are running out of steam, though. They're getting very low. As we take down another shield battery. Classic, he's holding. He is barely holding on. Nova goes off, takes down a Queen. And we will be able to chase down these Ravagers. As I say that, we do have a couple more reinforcements coming in. Another Ravager goes down. And a second Ravager as well. It looks like Dark, he doesn't have enough. At the same time, though, he drops into the mineral line, killing more workers. Oh, the Biles, they get another couple of probes. Behind this, Dark is droning. Dark is droning, he's saturating his bases. Disruptors have arrived. We even spread creep in the natural. But Classic did hold. A big part of this is, of course, the Disruptors coming out, forcing the splits, connecting with the army, buying enough time. And Classic, he's in a better economic position. He's up in workers. We're even in bases, up in workers. We have Disruptors. +2 is on the way as well. Dark did do damage, don't get me wrong, but he's still not in the best position. I'm curious. Okay. I was like, are we going to drone or are we going to make units? We are double expanding. We're making drones. Hive is on the way. Tech-wise, Dark isn't actually looking too bad. With this Hive, we gain access to Vipers, and that's exactly what we need against these Disruptors. Oh, as Dark is supply blocked. 5 Overlords on the way. Classic not feeling too confident about moving out. He's going to be taking his 4th base. Building up his Disruptor count. It looks like Classic is taking a more defensive position. I mean, he doesn't have a Warp Prism. There's no Warp Prism, no way to reinforce. He's moving out with his Stalkers, but he's leaving his Disruptors back at home. So he's going to be harassing. Not going to be committing. The game is going to settle from here. And because of how fast this Infestation Pit and Hive is, like, again, the Vipers are going to be the MVPs for Dark. I'm assuming the Vipers are on the way, but we'll see. This Classic is still just trying to poke in. Likewise, Dark waiting for him with a massive Ravager army. If Classic does push too far into creep, he will get surrounded. So Classic has to be very careful with his movement. Again, just cleaning up some of these active tumors. Not overly committing. We have a random Baling Waddle Buy setup. Is going to be shut down. Back at home, the Hive is done. Jesus, we're getting to double Colossus production. There's going to be so much to yoink. We have 5 Disruptors and soon to be 4 Colossus. My god. That's a lot of splash damage here for Classic. Meanwhile, Dark, he's doubling down with Lingbane Roach Ravager. Adrenal is on the way. Baling Speed as well. Now, the other way this works here, Lingbane Roach Ravager is an army that is designed to just swallow up a Protoss ground force. If Classic, again, does overextend, there is potential for Dark to take a really good fight. As Classic moves out, Dark is going in for a big Link counterattack, and we do catch the 4th base. We force a recall. Probes are going to be going down. Shield Battery as well. Dark will get the hell out of there. Thankfully, there are the Vipers. we need them, Papi. We need them. Vipers are on the way. But they need time. They need to gather up energy. At the same time, Baling drop into the main. Oh my god. 8 probes go down. At the same time, another Baling run by here towards that 4th base. We do react in time. But what this is doing is forcing the army to come back around. Classic, he was in the middle of pushing out. And now Dark has bought enough time to get into those Vipers. They have arrived. Gathering up energy here at the natural. Hydrogen's on the way. We need to get into Hydro Lurker Viper, but Lurker Den is a ways off. It's very far away here tech-wise. Classic pushing through the center once again. As he pushes through the center, we have a Lingbane run-by setup as well as a big Roach Ravager counterattack as well. And it's forcing Classic to turn around again. Dark doing so much with so little here, buying so much time. And now the Vipers are topped up. The Vipers are topped up. Lurker Den is now in production. I mentioned earlier that Lurkers, they're a little bit too far away. Not so much anymore. But here we go. Classic pushing through the center. And yep, here we go. The base trade is upon us. Dark, he knows he cannot engage with this army. Not with so much splash damage. We're going for the base trade. Lings, they bust into the 3rd. We have Lingbane towards the 4th. And the main army towards the natural. And Classic is turning around. He's turning back around. Ay, ay, ay. 3rd base is going to go down. Lings eviscerating. Oh, they're going to be cleaned up here at the 4th base. We bust into the main base as well. And from here, Dark has to get the hell out of here. Oh, the Nevers. Will graze the army. And Classic, he has to turn back around and waddle back into his main, into his bases, regain control of all of this. And in the midst of this chaos, Dark, Hydras are coming out. Lurkers are on the way. This feels illegal. How did Dark get here? No shot. It feels like for the past 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, like Classic could have A-moved. He could have just sent everything across the map. We could have tried to recall back home later or something and just sent it, and there was no way for Dark to engage. He knew that. That's why Dark wasn't fighting. That's why Dark was going for all these counterattacks. He knew that he cannot fight head on. Now he can. Now he gets Lurkers. Oh my god. Ay, ay, ay. How many Lurkers do we have? 8. Soon to be 11. 11 Lurkers are on the way with Vipers as well. Here come the yoinks. 1 and 2 Disruptors go down. Oof. Oh my god. A decent Nova getting 3 Ravagers. But that was a lot of Novas wasted. A lot of Novas spent. Vile's going to be zoning back the army. The Vipers regathering that energy, looking for abductions on the Colossus. We do have detection, but pushing into this line of Lurkers is not going to be easy. And as Classic pushes towards that natural, we're going for another big counterattack. Nevers go off. Oof. Take down one of those lurkers. We still have a couple of abductions left. Lurkers are pushing forward. They're looking very exposed. The blinding clouds. Ooh, we do blinding cloud the army, but it looks like the lurkers are going down. At the same time, we're going for a massive base trade. And do we have a probe on the map? 0 workers, 0 probes. We're gonna die from elimination. No shot. No, we're recalling back home with the recall. It does finish just in time. Oh my god. The recall goes up, but we're running out of units. starKy goes for a GG, gets called. Classic cannot fight this, and Dark will take the series 2-1. GG. Oh my god. What just happened? GG, well played. Dark doing so well, buying so much time. Constant counterattacks, constant base trades essentially. Dark, he was ready for it. He was ready to commit to base trades multiple times. And so often Classic just had to turn back around, either didn't recall or just didn't have any warpins available. And yeah, Dark, that was crazy. Like, his opponent had 4 Colossi and 5 Disruptors. And as he was moving out, Dark, he was just now getting into 3 Vipers. He didn't even have a Lurker Den either. He just had Lingbane Roach Ravager. Dark was in trouble. He was looking dead, to be honest. But yeah, did an amazing job just distracting the army, buying time. GG. GG, well played. Dark takes it. Dark does take it. Missed part of the game, but I suppose Classic lacked eco. Not really, no. Not really. Oh god. Just a crazy, I almost want to say base trade, not even, just, yeah. Dark doing so much with so little with a low tech army, just buying time over and over again. Oh my god, that was a rough game for Classic as well. Like, I can feel the frustrations out of Classic, recognizing, of course, that like he, like at any moment, I almost wanted to look at the graph, even just being aware that he had an army that could just roll over Dark so often, but just couldn't move out, could not move out. GG, well played. Whew. With that, yeah, congratulations to Dark. He does advance on into the semifinals, and Classic is still in this. He gets knocked down to the decider match, where he's waiting for his next opponent. He's gonna be waiting for either Creator or Bunny. Let's go.